Good morning and welcome into another installment of Trust Matters, Real Estate and Estate Planning Solutions with Gateville Law Firm's Sean Robertson. They're located in Yorkville and online at gatevillelawfirm.com. Sean Robertson in studio with us is today focusing on the topic of some important legal issues that sellers need to be aware of when selling residential real estate. And it kind of all falls into this multi-board residential real estate contract 7.0. It's a mouthful there, Sean. What are we talking about with this contract?
Yeah, so that contract is the typical contract that most sellers will sign during the residential real estate process in the local area. What I mean is not just Yorkville, it's Plano, it's Sandwich, it's Grundy, it's pretty much everywhere in the local area. It's a standard contract.
All right, so let's go over it and talk about some of the main considerations here. Where do we want to start?
Yeah, so one of the first things is, if you have a realtor, your realtor will focus on disclosures, meaning you're going to have to fill out certain disclosure documents. And if you're doing a for sale by owner, we can help you fill it out. So the disclosures are like, what environmental problems do you have? Do you know of radon? Do you know of mold? Has there been leakage in the past? So these are things that the seller is required by law to disclose to the buyer if they know about these defects.
All right, and what other items here are important?
The other thing that's important for real estate is title insurance, because at the end of the day, you can't sell a piece of property if the seller can't provide title insurance to the buyer. Like, for example, I had a solar panel deal yesterday, and the solar panel company was in bankruptcy, which caused a lot of problems. So there was a major question whether we could convey legal title. We ended up conveying legal title. We ended up paying off the solar panels, but this is where a good realtor and attorney, because if you would have told me that we were going to finalize the sale, I probably would have told you this wouldn't go.
So the importance there, providing a clear title to the buyer, and title insurance also is an important element here, right?
Yeah, so what title insurance is when a buyer buys a piece of property, they're not going to take the seller's word that they're conveying title. So you have title companies like Fidelity National Title, Chicago Title. They're in the business of providing an insurance policy for the buyer and for the buyer's lender that guarantees that there's no defects, there's no title disputes that are going to occur in the future.
Title insurance pretty important to have.
It is, and I've talked to people from other countries where they spend years in court because there's no guarantee that when they buy a property that they own it.
What about something along the lines of deadlines, other contingencies that people need to be aware of?
Yeah, so a big goal of the multi-board is there's contingencies. There's attorney review and professional inspection deadlines, there's financing deadlines, there's closing deadlines. So these are things that your seller's attorney will manage for sellers, or for a buyer's attorney will manage. So deadlines are very important, because otherwise you could be in breach of contract, which means you have a lot of legal issues.
This multi-board contract also kind of lays out all the details in terms of financial obligations at closing.
Correct. Like, for example, the contract says, okay, is it a conventional deal? Is it a FHA? Is it VA? And these are important considerations for a seller, because I often hear from sellers that they don't want to put out money, or maybe they don't have the ability to put out money for the house. So these are things to consider what type of buyer you accept when you're in a seller.
What about prorations? Is that also something that's important?
Yeah, prorations are important. So what prorations mean is, let's say you're selling a property today, which is sometime in October, and you need to pay the 2024 real estate taxes through the closing date. So the attorney basically provides a proration, and typically that's negotiated with the original contract, but sometimes modifications occur when we look at what exemptions people have.
All right, so in summary, maybe just a recap on how important this contract is, and how folks need to be kind of aware of all these different elements.
Yeah, so there's really three things that the seller needs to be concerned about. Disclosures, and a lot of times sellers have legal questions regarding that. Title insurance and providing a clear title, which is the seller's duty and the attorney's job, and then deadlines to manage. And managing these deadlines are important because a lot of times sellers don't want to have to pay another mortgage.
Navigating all of this important stuff, but it can be confusing, especially for someone that doesn't have the expertise. That's where the folks at Gateville Law Firm come in handy, and they'll help you out through all of these important steps in real estate transactions. Sean Robertson, our guest from Gateville Law Firm. The show is called Trust Matters, Real Estate and Estate Planning Solutions. They're online at gatevilllawfirm.com. They're in Yorkville, and give them a call, 630-780-1034. That's 630-780-1034. We'll see you next time.